Hey, thank you for that, and welcome back to the show. Rick Tittle with you, coast to coast and around the world on the American Forces Radio Network, which is fitting because our next guest is the author of a brand new book entitled Heartland Highways, and this is just in time for America's 250th birthday. We have John W. Butler. John, welcome. This book apparently takes us not just coast to coast, which we sort of recognize as 3,000 miles. You're going to tack on an extra 33,321 miles, huh?
Yeah, no kidding. I just kept going. Didn't intend to do that when I started out. I was going to do a little loop, kind of like John Steinbeck did back in the 60s. And it was fascinating. I just kept going, and I took the detours. I didn't have an itinerary or a real agenda. Just wanted to find America kind of as it came to me along the road, mostly the back roads.
I remember years ago reading a book by Ian Fraser called Great Plains, and him just sort of stopping in podunk towns, which we would call podunk or flyover states, and just really appreciating how sometimes we don't stop and smell the roses in some of all these great sites and more unknown places in the USA, right?
Exactly. And I made the big cities, too, came through your town of San Francisco, wound up making both coasts and then all in between. If you look at the map, it was all over the place. But, yes, some of the small towns, if you get off the interstates, because driving the interstates, you really don't see anything except road. But taking the detours onto the back roads, you see real America. And I enjoy the heck out of it.
I remember when I was in high school in the 80s, one of my teachers did a cross-country bike ride, which sounds horrific, but it took him the whole summer with his buddy, and he would be in places, and he said he stayed at a place he thought was Versailles, but it was called Versailles, and people would take you in, and like here in San Francisco, you ring my doorbell and you say, hey, can I sleep over and can you feed me? We would slam the door and call the police.
Exactly.
It's not always like that in the heart of America, right?
No, it's not. And by the way, speaking of bike rides, as an old DJ, I started at a sports station, and then I was with a rock and roll station, KLIF back in the day, and I raced the number one jock from Houston and the number one jock from San Antonio, and I represented Dallas. We raced from the San Antonio, from the Alamo to downtown Dallas, to our studio there, and then to Herman Park in Houston. And if you look at a map of Texas, that's a lot of miles there on the bike, but that was a long time ago. So that was another endurance. And yeah, the small towns are intriguing, and some of the people I met were just really endearing. In Virginia, I met a guy who came here with nothing. He was a kid. His parents had died in Italy. Came here with not even a suitcase. Came to the immigration, and they said, grab your suitcase. He goes, suitcase? I got no suitcase. And he just said it in Italian because he couldn't speak English yet. But he is now the owner of an operator of a very famous Italian restaurant in Virginia. And, I talked to a young actress, singer, songwriter in Hollywood who slept in her car until she finally got her big break. And she sang at Vitello's over there. You may remember where Robert Blake's wife was shot, and he was accused of it. Yeah. And anyway, she got her big break and sang in La La Land.
I'd like to go back just a second to your bike ride. What was that, like 600 miles? What are we talking? That's a long way.
Oh man, it was like over. I think the whole thing was on the back roads also, and it was about 1,000 miles. Yeah, I found out Texas is not flat.
Well, I know the hill country, but other than that, I thought it was. Well, with the way the media works now and with clickbait and everyone trying to separate us and make states hate each other and make Americans hate each other, was it kind of refreshing to know that you can, when you get away from all the media and the brainwashing, that deep down Americans will treat other Americans and other people with grace and class?
Absolutely. It just, it touches your heart when you get out and talk to people. They weren't talking politics, Rick, amazingly. You'd think everybody's talking politics and setting each other's hair on fire. and that's really one of the things that triggered this trip, this road trip. I was sitting at home one night, and I'm watching TV, and I'm watching cable news, and I'm watching news feeds on my phone and my computer, and it's like everybody was setting each other's hair on fire, and America was burning down. And I went, I started in a TV newsroom when I was 15, and we were taught by the old guys, kind of a different way to deliver the news. And I thought, man, this is so sensational. I just can't believe this is happening in the country I grew up in. And that triggered it. And then I went out to Colorado, and a literary agent friend of mine said, we were talking about the news and all that. And he said, you ought to just go around America and interview people and find out what it's really like out there. And that connected with the John Steinbeck I read when I was a kid on his trip, and I always wanted to do that. And I went, you have no idea what you just said. I'm going to actually do it. And that's what I did. I got an Airstream van I named Argo, and I set out, and I just enjoyed it and met all kinds of great people in small towns. They weren't talking politics, amazingly, as you might think watching the news everybody is. But they were, they're working hard Monday through Friday, hoping to have some fun on Saturday and Sunday, watch some sports, and chill out.
Last question: those Airstream Sprinters, it looks like a van. It's anything but. From what I've seen, you got a sink, you got a beautiful couch, turns into a bed. Not too bad on the road, was it?
No, it wasn't. I really enjoyed the Airstream Sprinter van. I was able to, stop where I wanted to, and spend an extra day or two or week if it was someplace interesting. I spent time with the Hopi tribe in Arizona, and there was no place to stay. I was just out there on the reservation, so I was able to, especially with my solar on top, take time and spend time with them, and that was fascinating.
Well, it's great stuff. We're just scraping the surface. Everybody needs to pick up this book. It's called Heartland Highways in Search of America, from our guest, John W. Butler. John, we need a book like this right now. Good timing.
Yeah,
congrats, man.
Rick, it's available on Amazon. Put in Heartland Highways in Search of America or John W. Butler.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick. Take care.